Before reading the article, you might wonder how it is you get very comfortable American and European Jews to immigrate to a horrible little drug-filled state that's expensive to live, bad for family life, rife with dangers and troubles, and Russian gangsters running amok. A place where up to half your colleagues in the high-tech world will be Russian-speaking and not even identify as Jewish. Well, you'd have to make life in Europe and America bad unless you were targeting only Russians, and most of them are already in Israel. So making life in America and Europe bad seems the final endgame to build Greater Israel. Well, life in these countries must get bad while life in Greater Israel must get good. That is the basic formula that gets highly qualified Jews to make Aliyah, or ascend, to Israel. How to encourage tech Aliyah, or how to encourage tech ascendancy. The government plans to fill Israel's technology workers shortage from the diaspora. Globes offers some tips. Now, just a quick commentary. You'll notice Israel is demanding highly qualified people to come into the countries, whilst, of course, the United States is allowing anyone from desperate third world countries to enter through the border. Think about what's happening. They are forming a welfare state, while demanding that only highly qualified people come into Israel and, of course, the future Greater Israel. Exploit the unique makeup of the government to help the many engineers who would be happy to work for a few years in Israel's technology industry, even if not permanently, to come to Israel and contribute to the country's most prosperous and successful sector. This would also help in forming better collaborations in the future with overseas companies and would make the Israeli industry even more powerful, of course, even more powerful, and even more intelligence contacts, even more possibilities of compromise, blackmail and bribery. Now, they're talking about the unique makeup of the government in Europe and the United States. What does that mean? What's the unique makeup? And again, this leads into other questions, such as we've talked frequently, Henry Kissinger and the BSF, the Binational Science Foundation, the BIRD, the Binational Industrial Research and Development Foundation, and the BARD, the Binational Agricultural Research and Development Foundation. These are all conduits for making contact with overseas operations, corporations, businesses, and individuals. This article puts it together so beautifully. You've really got to read between the lines. And I have to be honest, the Israeli press of all kinds is extremely honest. And sometimes you just have to make a few subtle hints between the lines, but often they tell you straight to your face. And remember, Jews have informed me of just what's going on in Israel since 2005, both American and Australian Jews. Make sure people understand the big picture, the Pan-Eurasian superstate, the Bunting Cloverleaf map, all the things that we've been talking about for so many years and ignored by so many. So watch out, America and Europe. All this mass immigration has nothing to do with people getting on. It has nothing being kind with third world countries. This is about turning Europe and the United States into a welfare state, starting wars and mayhem and terror all over the world, and then flooding states like Europe and the United States with the product. Desperate people. People who are not interested in constitutions, notions of freedom, or against the surveillance state. They're just happy they can eat, they have a roof over their head, and their children can get to school without being killed or kidnapped along the way. Meanwhile, Israel, of course, is demanding only the best. It's in your face. While the rest of the planet is turned into a welfare state, Israel and Greater Israel is being built. We need the big picture, and we need political action. If we don't identify the big picture items, not just the tactical details, which are changing daily and hourly with the next scare of the day just minutes away. We need the big picture. Building Greater Israel and the Pan-Eurasian superstate, the industrial, social and economic connections now between Israel, Russia, China, Iran, and the Giant Belt and Road Project. And of course, the release of a virus, a biological weapon. We'll get into that in future videos.